I grew up I grew up in a poor house. This isn't a joke. I grew up in a rich neighborhood in a poor house. The poor house was owned by my great grandpa. He owned about 3 to 5 properties, which he bought himself and cleaned up by himself and rented out to other people when property was very cheap to buy in a really rich neighborhood when it wasn't a rich neighborhood yet. I grew up with a dad who challenged me a lot, which made me ultimately a better person in the future. A mom that was very overprotective and treated me like a baby my whole life and babied me. So between those two things, it was hard in life to get anywhere. I was picked on in school because of my ears, of course, a lot, and I was anorexic because, and I'm not really anorexic anymore, but I've been naturally young looking from the start because my mom is naturally young looking. She looks like she's 25 and she's almost 50. And my dad is 48 and he still looks young, even though his new girlfriend and him eat shitty food. He's always eating shitty food. He still has young looking genes. He still looks young. Um, and like most girls say, including most of the people, my dad has good butt genes. I don't. I didn't inherit those. What you gonna do? I could never tell people when I was younger why I was so skinny, but the reason why I had such bad health and I was so skinny was because I didn't eat. I just simply didn't eat. I was so picky as a child that I just didn't eat. I wouldn't eat anything. I wouldn't eat meat. I wouldn't eat chicken because there was bones in it and there was tendons and stuff. I wouldn't eat red meat because there was blood or fat in it. I wouldn't eat hot dogs at first because they were greasy. I was so picky that I just eventually weighed less than like 30 pounds. And it was horrible. I got picked on, made fun of, even thrown. I was a quiet kid in school. But I still was social. I didn't fit in very much because I pointed things out. I admitted the flaws in people, in society, and I still do that today. People call me closed-minded because of that. Family members don't talk to me as much because I point things out in society that people just accept as if it's normal. People just accept and say, well, maybe that's not how everyone else thinks. No, people don't think that way because they've been taught to think a certain way by society. We're taught these certain social rules as society because the elites, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, look them up. People are so quick to say, that's not right, that's not true, but they don't look these things up. They just say, that's not right, you're wrong, but they don't look the facts up before they tell the person that they're wrong. They just assume that they're right about everything. So, I grew up in a family naturally that never listened to me. Probably the one person who did was my little sister. But as we grew up, as siblings do, we get different friends, we get different influences, and we just separated. It happens. I couldn't deal with that growing up. I liked my sister's friends. I did. But they were away most of the time. Sometimes I had parties with them, and that was fun. That was during my drinking phase when I drank way too much. But that's later on in this video. This might be a two-part video. As a kid, I went to special ed class because I had dyslexia and epilepsy. I spaced off a lot because my seizure meds made me drugged up. That's why I hate seizure meds. That's why I believe marijuana helps. Marijuana makes you out of it if you have way too much of it. But if you have a certain amount of CBD, the medical part of it, not THC, the high, if you have CBD only extract, yeah, it will make you hungry. It still does that, which is good. It improves your appetite. If you're anorexic and you need to improve your appetite, that's good. If your seizure meds, which most of them do, suppress appetite, I'm lucky to be able to eat food still and be on 2 seizure meds. Dopamax, which is Topamax, but people call it Dopamax because it dopes you up. The higher the dosage of Topamax, the higher doped up you'll be during the day and less functioning you'll be. So when my doctor tells me every time I have a seizure, which will be like once a month, not that bad, no. And I like how my family says, it affects all of us. No, it doesn't. It affects me because I'm the one having the seizure. You guys choose to call 911 when the seizure only lasts about 2 to 4 minutes. I'm fine. I'm in my bed. That's the only times I have the seizure. I'm fine. You just have to wait. It ends. That's it. Give me water after. A little bit of water so I don't choke. That's it. That's it. Also, it only affects you if you have to drive, you call them and you have to drive down to the hospital. That's later on. I grew up with 3 main cousins that were my best friends. My main best friend, and I'm not afraid to admit this. I'm not afraid to admit anything, especially not tonight. My best friend growing up was Matt. Because he would listen the most. We split up mostly as we got older. We had, like, just my sister. We had different influences, and we saw each other less and less and less growing up. But as a kid, since I was skinny, and I was just, I put on this fakeness every time I saw my cousin. I wanted to be the older cousin. I wanted him to look up to me. I wanted to be a good influence. So by the time I got to high school, I started being the bad influence. His dad didn't want me around him very much because I was smoking weed, and his dad's a cop. So at that time, I stopped seeing my cousin as much. So we kind of split apart. And he got into different things. He got into working out. I wasn't into working out. I'd say he got into working out by like 8th grade, just starting, and it's all he did. I didn't get into working out until probably age 20. I've been working out for 4 years. Hard work, nothing's instant. Unless you use steroids. And it's still hard work. So he was doing that. As we grew up, we were raised pretty much by this grandma, the one I live with. But we didn't know her true side because we were little kids. She would do dress up with us, arts and crafts, all the fun things. She would take us hiking. She would bring us juice boxes, all that stuff. But she had a tendency of putting herself before us. Like we would have to wait for her if we wanted something. And we just thought that was normal. But as we got older, we found out more and more and more and more. And we visited, all the grandkids visited her less and less and less and less. And we found out more about how our elders, our parents, our grandparents were actually the people they were. And some of us knew how they were when we were younger. Like my mom, my dad. My sisters and me all knew how they were when we were younger. Nothing really changed. They stayed the same people. They just got into different things. My dad didn't get into anything different. He has stayed the same from the moment I was a child. He's gotten a little better. He's gotten a little softer. I mean, when we were kids, I grew up in a hard environment. Even if your parents buy you shit, it doesn't mean that. I mean, I get it. Kids in Africa have it harder. They're given guns. They're forced to be fighters to work for bad people. Let's just say that. That happens in a lot of places, in poor countries. I get it. It's harder for other people. But I'm not talking about that. For all you liberals who are just going to critique this video, I'm talking about the people who live in middle class to upper class to poor neighborhoods. Just because your parents can afford to get you on a cell phone plan, just because your parents can get you something for Christmas, doesn't mean that they're friendly. They can be as narcissistic as possible. They can beat the shit out of you. They can shoot you with a gun, but then buy you something. Doesn't make them a nice person. Yeah. Objects don't make you a good person. They don't. They make you more of a narcissistic person. Taking your kids places, getting them things, it's a cover. It's a cover. Narcissistic people do that to cover up their true selves. And I've met so many people in my lifetime who do that. When the poor people, mostly the poor people, who are looked down upon, are the people who actually spend time with their kids. Imagine that. Part 2 coming soon. Check it out.